Welcome to Shocking History Photos, where the past looks beautiful until you look closer. They called it the era of elegance, manners and invention, but behind the polished portraits and grand architecture, Victorian England hid a chilling reality. These photos? They aren't just images. They're windows into a world of child labor, death portraits, slums crawling with disease, and a society obsessed with appearances while rotting from within. Stick around, because what you're about to see will change how you view history forever. The truth was never meant to be captured, yet somehow these photographs did. Evicted with nowhere to go, a family sits among their scattered belongings, each item a fragment of a life torn apart. In the slums of 1901 London, poverty wasn't just a condition, it was a sentence. With no safety nets, even a whisper of bad luck could leave you out in the cold. Childhood in the slums didn't come with toys or schoolbooks, but with soot-covered hands and aching backs. By the age of 7, children were already laboring in filth, scraping by to help their families survive. Hard work wasn't a virtue, it was a necessity born from desperation. Dr. James Barry was one of Victorian England's top surgeons, but he lived with a secret. Born Margaret Ann Bulkley, he was a transgender man who broke every rule just to practice medicine. Even in death, the truth stayed hidden on his unchanged gravestone. Surgery in Victorian England was a gruesome spectacle. Patients screamed and thrashed as crowds packed in to watch, hungry for the horror. Sterility was unheard of, and the theatre reeked of blood, fear, and unfiltered curiosity. In Victorian England, healthcare was a luxury for the rich and a grim gamble for the poor. While the wealthy recovered in their own beds, the desperate lined up once a week, labeled as incurables or lunatics, hoping for a chance at survival. Before anesthesia, surgery was pure agony. In 1847, Sir James Simpson discovered chloroform's numbing power, creating a mask that would ease the pain. Even Queen Victoria used it, but its use faded after just a few decades. In Victorian England, death was as much a part of life as birth. A family, grieving yet bound by societal expectations, posed for one last photograph with their deceased daughter, capturing her still form as if she were merely sleeping. Diagnosed with monomania of pride, this patient was trapped in a delusion, convinced he was a figure of historical significance. In an era that saw madness as a puzzle to be solved, his condition was a bizarre yet tragic symptom of a time where mental illness was often misunderstood and cruelly labeled. At West Riding Pauper Lunatic Asylum, even the criminally insane were treated like tools for labor. This inmate, restrained and photographed, was forced into grueling work, from the laundry to the kitchen, in an institution where survival meant toil, and humanity was often stripped away in the name of efficiency. In 1877, a couple with their baby stood in front of a rag shop in Lambeth, their faces marked by the devastation of the annual Thames floods. For the poorest living along the river's banks, these floods were a relentless nightmare, washing away whatever little they had left, year after year, forcing them to rebuild from the ruins. In the heart of London's East End, a cat's meat man peddled scraps of horse meat, unfit for human consumption, to the poor. With his barrow filled with discarded leftovers from slaughterhouses, he became a lifeline for the desperate, offering the barest sustenance for their pets while the city turned a blind eye to their suffering. A mother and her children laboriously crafted matchboxes, part of a grim industry where families earned mere pennies for grueling work. With only 2 pence for every 144 boxes, they were forced to supply their own materials, struggling to survive in a world where their hands were the only tools they had left. In a bustling stonepipe workshop, workers shaped the materials that fed London's relentless growth. As the city expanded, the demand for pipes skyrocketed, turning these laborers into the unseen backbone of an industrial revolution that came at the cost of their sweat and toil. Mrs. Robinson sat on her doorstep, stuffing mattresses with straw, a task that earned her just 1 shilling per finished product. In the harsh grind of the East End, each mattress was a small, painstaking step towards survival in a world where every penny counted. In Victorian England, headless photographs were an unsettling phenomenon, where the deceased were often posed as if still alive. The head was either concealed or strategically hidden, creating an eerie illusion of life after death. In 1895, a woman posed provocatively in a studio, draped only in a sheet, defying the strict social norms of the time. The photograph was a daring expression of defiance and sensuality, capturing a bold moment in an era when modesty and decorum were paramount. In 1880, Whitby, an old fisherman, stands quietly at his doorstep, his weathered face and distant gaze heavy with memories of a life spent at sea. Each wrinkle seems to echo storms braved and days lost to the tides. To create the illusion that the deceased were still standing, special stands and seating were used, cleverly hidden by curtains or the body itself. This macabre arrangement allowed the deceased to be posed in lifelike positions, giving the eerie appearance of life even after death had claimed them. In the grimy streets of London's slums, two boys turned their harsh reality into a game of imagination, creating a golf course out of simple buckets. With nothing but scraps and their creativity, they found a fleeting escape from poverty. At Covent Garden, poor women huddled together, selling flowers in a desperate bid for survival. Their hands, weathered by hardship, clutched the delicate blooms, offering them to passers-by in the hope of earning a few pennies. An Italian iceman wandered through the slums, offering sweet relief on hot days to children and weary residents. His cart brought brief joy to lives overshadowed by poverty, a rare taste of delight in a world that rarely offered any. On a bustling London street, a mother pauses to browse a handcart filled with trinkets and novelties. For many, these fleeting moments of curiosity offered a small distraction from the daily grind of survival. On the Whitby dock in 1890, a fishing family huddles together, their eyes tenderly fixed on the baby resting in a basket. Surrounded by the scent of salt and sea, their simple unity stands strong against the hardships of coastal life. A young shoeshine boy crouches beside a customer, his small hands busy with the task of survival. Childhood for him meant work, not play, just one of many trying to earn a living in the shadow of the city's booming industry. In the cramped yards of London's slums, children huddled together for a game of marbles, their laughter briefly drowning out the noise of hardship. In that simple circle of play, they found a fleeting sense of freedom and joy. On New Street in Vauxhall, children linger among crumbling buildings, unaware their homes may soon vanish. Slum clearance promised progress, but for many families it meant only displacement and deeper despair. In the heart of Spitalfields, two children stand quietly amid decay and poverty. Their worn faces reflect a world where survival came before childhood. They were known as crawlers, the homeless souls of Victorian London who drifted through the streets with no place to call home, sleeping wherever shadows offered shelter. Their existence was slow, invisible, and heartbreakingly forgotten. In 1890, a farm labourer in Whitby takes a brief moment from his ploughing to glance at his watch, signalling the end of another long stretch of work. The simple act marks a fleeting break in a day shaped by the rhythm of the land and the clock. The wealthy Victorians, with time to spare and opulence to flaunt, posed in elaborate costumes for entertainment. Meanwhile, the poor, locked in a daily fight for survival, could only dream of such indulgence, if they had time to dream at all. In 1880, large ships crowded the bustling port of Whitby, their sails partially raised, ready for the next voyage. Behind them, the coastal town stands proudly, a testament to Whitby's vital role as a maritime and commercial powerhouse in Victorian England. In 1890, Whitby, three young fisher girls, their straw baskets in hand, watch intently as a boy carves a piece of wood. Their quiet curiosity reflects the simplicity and hard work of coastal life, where every moment seemed shaped by the rhythm of the sea. A Victorian costermonger stands proudly beside his cart, the fruit and goods spread out for passers-by. His life, defined by the hustle of street vending, reveals the grit and resourcefulness of those who relied on the bustling city streets to make a living. Victorian England was a world of glittering elegance built on shadows. Behind the corsets and carriages was a society obsessed with appearance, while hiding inequality, grief and decay just beneath the surface. If this made you see the era differently, like the video, subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss the next forgotten chapter. Which photo stuck with you the most? Drop it in the comments, and let's keep uncovering the history they tried to erase.